Welcome to the Franklin and Allum Show. I'm the host this week. I'm Kev, and this week with me is Ben.
Living in America.
And Dave.
Oh.
Not going to sing, Dave? I think we've got a clue to one of Ben's soundtracks already. This week, we're discussing movie soundtracks and score. So, before we go on to that, how you been?
Good.
Twas my birthday this week.
Happy birthday, Dave.
Happy birthday, Dave.
Very exciting.
What'd you get?
Brant Bjork vinyl.
Right, yeah.
That's
Nice.
cool. Got some books.
Get any books about Escape?
No. Are we getting an update this week?
Oh, no, I haven't started it yet.
Oh, I need to know more. Did he escape from Alcatraz? Is that when the book ends? He didn't get out.
Yeah, he was in. They don't know. 21 and a half escapes.
Cool.
Ben, how you been? How's your week been?
Yeah. All right. What have I done? Watched a couple of movies.
What'd you watch?
Jojo Rabbit, which was really good.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really good. It's very, very just like nothing I've seen before. Funny and sad and tragic and dramatic. Very good. I won't give anything away, but it's completely unique. It's completely unique. Very good. Best film I've seen since. Probably the best film I've seen since Joker, probably. Just stick to the J's. Stick to the J's for the moment.
Are you working your way through?
J's.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, how far through the J's are you? Are you on to Harry Potter's next, or...?
No, I've still got Juno to go.
Yeah.
And then that should be the last one.
Yeah, good.
Oh, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. I was going to say, Jurassic Parks. Yeah. And Worlds.
All the Jurassic... Oh, God, yeah. I've still got all of the Jurassic Parks to go, yeah.
There'll be another one by the time you finish them. They make them quicker than you can watch them these days.
It's true, yeah.
I too have watched a couple of movies this week. Me and Cara are working our way through the Marvel movies. And we've nearly finished, in order. We've nearly finished. Kind of can't wait for them to end.
Yeah.
Drags on, doesn't it?
Yeah, every single one of them is about half hour too long.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple more to go. And then I'm free. Free from the Marvel Universe.
You watch now on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they run it in order. That's quite cool. I quite like that.
Yeah. I haven't started the second series of The Mandalorian yet.
Oh, man. That is so good.
I'm waiting for it to be finished and then I'll watch them.
Yeah, because...
I'm not having to wait for things.
Yeah, I'm going to have to wait every week. It's like old school TV. And they're perfect. They're probably too short because they're so good. You're like, oh, not the end. And you got to wait a week.
Yeah. Right, should we crack on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Everybody ready with their...
Yeah, and I'm going first this week, right?
Yeah, you go first this week, Ben.
All right. Goodfellas.
Oh, fuck off.
Goodfellas Soundtrack, because it's so varied and it spans such a long period of time. And every piece of music works perfectly with that point of the film. Like every piece of music sum up what's going on screen perfectly. Like the kind of the lounge, the lounge music, the sort of the laid back feel of that, and then as the film develops and kind of like descends into like the madness and the paranoia, and the contrast of that with like doo-wop sound and And won't give any spoilers. I won't give any spoilers. Or if we do, we should probably put a warning. Fuck, I will give spoilers, but let's do a spoilers warning at the start. So for me, it's the contrast of some of the sort of soulful and beautiful music contrasted with just the brutal violence on screen, like the bells of St Mary's, like by the Drifters, when Stax gets whacked, the Bats hit with Atlantis playing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
The final scene before he gets nicked, you know, the long day where you get the time card, and then Harry Nilsson jumping to the fire, like starts where he snorts the coke, and you just got that thumping sort of bass at the beginning. Yeah, it's just perfect all the way through it. It's just perfect all the way through it.
What is really clever about that soundtrack is Layla, because it's the most iconic guitar riff of all time, arguably. But probably our generation know Layla more because of that piano outro, because of what happens in the film. Yeah. It's so cool. It's brilliant soundtrack. Absolutely brilliant.
I was going to ask high points of the soundtrack, Ben, but you've kind of listed them really.
So for me, the standout track for me is the Drifters track. It's Bells of St Mary's, when Tommy and Carbone go and do the hit, and it's the slow motion. It's as it's playing, he goes into slow motion. He kind of walks away, stands over the camera with the gun. It's just the slow motion of the gunshots, just the focus on his face. He blinks as the shots are being fired. Yes, that's that song. But there's so many good songs on it. There's just so many great songs on it.
Yeah, great choice. It was one of my choices as well, you piece of Dave, go ahead. Give me a chance to think of a different one.
Okay. My first one is, so I've gone about this in, because Goodfellas would have been on mine. There's loads of others that would have been on mine, but the ones I've picked tonight are ones that I still listen to regularly. So my first one, I've even got it with me, is American Graffiti.
Oh, good one.
And it's so good. Purely, I think it's the first time I saw a film that didn't have a score in it. So it's all music. And there's a reason for that, because I did a little bit of research actually. It's the reason he spent all his money, because he got, I think it's 41 songs that he used, and he spent all the money on that, buying the rights for it. So he didn't have money to get someone to do a score. So that's why. And I think he's tried to play it over the years, saying, "Well, that was me being arty," but it's because he ran out of money, basically. Great songs, timeless classics. Harks back to an age of innocence, because that's the point in the film, was the last night before they all grow up. I had to look this up because I've heard the phrase before, but I couldn't remember what it was. So it's hang on, I have to look up again because I wrote it down. Diegetic music. So the character is hearing what you're hearing. So for example, what's one of the songs on it? So when Harrison Ford's driving his car, it's Booker T and the MGs. So they've got it on in their radios, so they're hearing it, but we're hearing it. So it's diegetic music. So each song was put to a specific scene for that very reason, because they're hearing it wherever they are, that song's playing or whatever. Another great thing about it is Wolfman Jack. So in between the songs, you got the radio DJ talking about things, introducing the songs. Hadn't heard that before. So
yeah,
brilliant. When was this? 73, I think this came out, wasn't it? Something like that. Yeah, brilliant. Great soundtrack. And it's great. Play it.
Excellent.
If we have a family do, always whack it on. Everyone loves it.
Musical high point of that for you, Dave?
Booker T is a good scene. And the film's not that good, actually, really. I only really remember it because of the music.
I've got about 4. great soundtracks, average films.
Yeah. Yeah, Booker T stands out. It's a cool song. It's been used in loads of films, but it works really well with that scene where they're coming up and they're going to do the race. Probably the last song, the Beach Boys, where it moves into the coming out of that age of innocence. Very cool, very good. I guess what's weird about that, if it didn't make any money, we wouldn't have Star Wars. Because that was George Lucas's first film, first money-making film, anyway.
Yeah.
So if that had bombed completely, we wouldn't have had Star Wars. Because it gave him the money to produce the script, didn't it? That was quite a nice little.
There you go. How would the world be different today?
Ain't it weird? I know. So
we wouldn't have been talking about the Mandalorian probably at the start of this.
So there you go.
My round one choice, Train Spotting. Is that one of yours, Ben?
Nope. Let's go on.
Couple of reasons for this. Number one, it's just full of great tunes. Similar to Goodfellas in a way, in that it uses music very well, but there is such a contrast from one tune to another. There's not a theme or a thread. Yeah, it's each tune is very different from another. It reminds me of just a brilliant time, really. That kind of period of the 90s was a bit.
I thought you meant when you were on Hooked on Junk.
Yeah, well.
And do you remember when you were living in that squat in Leith, Kev? That was fucking great, wasn't it?
It was all right. It was all right.
It's all right. It's probably my own shit, but we had a laugh, didn't we?
Yeah, and you develop that funny accent.
Yeah. The music's used very well, and the tracks that are used sum up the scenes perfectly. And I guess the film is bookended perfectly by two massive tunes, really. So Lust for Life right at the very beginning and Born Slippy at the end, two like huge tunes that kind of bookend the film really, really well and show although they're very different tunes, there's a kind of similar sort of vibe to them, I guess.
Yep.
Even though it's a similar sort of vibe in terms of the film as well. It's somebody running away, somebody escaping.
Quite symbolic as well, right? They're quite symbolic because, like, the scene where he's laying on the bed with a girl and she's saying, "Time's changing, Rents. Drugs are changing. Music's changing." And it's quite sort of symbolic. He's coming out of heroin. He's coming out like the like Iggy and the Stooges, kind of the heroin going into the dance with ecstasy and positivity and like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's quite sort of symbolic of that.
And and some of the tunes just kind of sum up the quite depressing nature of the film in a lot of ways. But and again, similar to the film, if you take a song like Mile End by Pulp, it's a really bleak, lyrically really, really bleak, painting a picture of a really fucking bleak existence, but it's done with a kind of tongue-in-cheek. There's a bit of a humour in the lyrics, and that kind of sums up Trainspotting as a film as well. It's a really fucking bleak existence, but it's a hilariously funny film, and it's a great film. So I think the music matches that film perfectly, and there's some fucking great tunes on there as well.
There is some great tunes on there. What's your favourite?
It's really difficult to get past the kind of the front and back of it. Born Slippy and Lust for Life. Lust for Life's just
it's amazing.
It's not. If I ever hear that track, either on the radio or comes on shuffle or whatever, you never skip that track.
Yeah, it's true.
You're always in the mood to listen to Lust for Life if it comes on. Nightclubbing's great as well, and Mile End, Pulp track on there.
I really like the Primal Screen track on it.
Yeah, Trainspotting.
Like 8.5 minutes long.
Yeah,
it's like this hip hop beat with it's quite funky as well. It's where they're they're in the park and doing their Sean Connery impressions.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. That's my round one.
Yeah, it's a
Good one.
It is a good one because it captured a moment in British. I don't know what you wouldn't call it. The way Britain was at that period, wasn't it? It captures that in a soundtrack. Actually, it's pretty cool, pretty clever, very well done. Do you reckon it's true that the story is that they wanted Oasis or Noel particularly to do a song for it? Do you reckon it's true? Because he reckons that he was asked and they said, oh yeah, we'll do this. He thought it was about train spotting, so he just told them to piss off. He was like, no, what do I want to write a song about train spotting? Weirdos. Do you reckon that's true, or do you reckon that's just a Noel story?
I reckon that's a Noel story, because I can't see a Noel Gallagher song suiting that film at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look at some of the subtleties, Noel Gallagher at that time especially, when you look at some of the subtleties in some of the songs that are on that track,
it wouldn't have worked, would it?
No.
It's a great point, actually, because that's when what was that, 97?
Yeah.
So Be Here Now.
Yeah.
And that was awful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Controversial. But
Train Spotting 97 or earlier? I'm going to say 95.
Was it even earlier?
96, 95. I'm going 95. 96. I'm going 96.
Dave? 96, 97, 95, 98, 94?
I'll go 97. 94?
Might be.
No.
95. I'm going 95.
Yeah, 95. Dave?
I'll go 97 because that's what I thought for some reason.
Closest without going over is Ben. The answer is 96. You should trust yourself more, Ben.
Never trust myself. You've met me.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right too.
I wouldn't trust me.
Cannot be trusted. Okay, so that's round one choices. Let's have a vote. We've got Goodfellas, American Graffiti, and Trainspotting. Usual rules. Can't vote for your own.
I'll go first. I'm going to pick Goodfellas.
I am going to pick Trainspotting.
Goodfellas was one of my choices, so I've got to pick Goodfellas, really.
Goodfellas is through.
Goodfellas goes through. I am going for Quadrophenia.
Oh.
And the reason I'm going for that is I think that, again, very similar to the two previous ones, every piece of music works perfectly with what's going on, right? And for such a kind of what piece doesn't work well?
No. I'm going to say the reason that every piece of music works well for the film is because the album came first.
Because it's written for the album. No, what I'm saying is, like if you take the party scene, when they're listening to, the girls are all listening to sort of quiet, sort of delicate pop. We were all of a certain age at a certain party, right? A teenage lad, where the lads put on their music and act like fucking idiots, right? to show off in front of their mates.
Yeah.
So I love that sort of music anyway. I love that sort of early 60s soul and soul influenced sort of British R&B sound anyway. And then obviously the Love Reign Over Me and Bellboy, I Am One, just fantastic songs. Brilliant album. The Quadrophenia album is brilliant anyway. But for me as well is a sort of coming of age thing for my own sort of teenage years at that time, you know, sort of being so feeling so kind of awkward anyway. And yeah, the film itself just captures that perfectly.
Uh,
and it's just cool as fuck. It's just cool as fuck.
It is very cool.
High point.
Love
Love
Ren
it.
Avenue.
Love me, yeah.
I would
Great
say
track.
my musical high point in that film, if you're talking about the not the album, Quadrophenia album that was turned into film, but the other piece of music.
Should we be dancing on the balcony?
No, oh well, that's Green Onions. That's a great use of Green
again.
Onions. But also there's, and I've never known who this band is. And every now and again I try and find out, but it's just lost in the mists of time. I think there's a band doing a cover of High Heel Sneakers.
It's the it's the High Tops. It's the Who. It's what they were called before the Who.
No, you see a band playing.
Oh right, yeah.
You see a band playing High Heel Sneakers, and whoever that band is, their version of High Heel Sneakers. It's just a fucking great version of that tune, and it's the Who with the High Numbers.
No, the High Numbers.
Great choice.
Very cool.
Should have been mine. Damn it.
I'd actually forgotten about that. I've got that as well. That's another soundtrack I listen to that I've got quite regularly. I've gone for the Young Guns 2 soundtrack, Blaze of Glory.
Hey!
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Why is it called? Because it's about cowboys? Yeah.
Fair enough. With that.
And what the other reason I liked it as well is obviously that period where the 90s had just started, literally, because 1990, I think it came out. So it wasn't your typical Western soundtrack. It wasn't all the little fluty hooty and stringy guitars. It was rock music. Fucking great. Yeah. It's such a good soundtrack.
You could tell that by the fact that the Cowboys all of a sudden had mullets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy the Kid did not have a mullet.
No, it's good. No, it's brilliant soundtrack. What do I like? What else do I like about it? At the time, I was really getting into rock music, and I was getting decent at guitar. It just, boom. The movie was cool as well. At that, it's probably not a good movie actually, but I remember it being absolutely amazing. Seeing it at the cinema, going, wow, yeah, love it, Cowboys. Bon Jovi, well, John Bon Jovi, you know, at the time, one of the biggest rock stars in the world. You know, what was not to like? What I learned about this, doing a little bit, yeah, no, nobody likes Bon Jovi. No one's going to admit it either, are they? But
that's
at
what
that
I
time, they were massive.
Yes, true. Yeah.
You know.
So was AIDS in the 80s.
Get out. I want to say that I had no part of that conversation there. I'm not relating AIDS and Bon Jovi.
Musical high point, Dave?
Hang on. I've not even told you my fun fact.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Fucking move me along. No, I'll tell you what, I'm going to talk about Young Guns 2 a little bit longer.
Good.
Here it is. Here's the final cover. Look at the hair.
Oh, fire.
Look at that.
Oh, that's amazing.
The one that no one remembers.
Where's Lou Diamond Phillips? Did Lou Diamond Phillips die in that one?
In that one, yeah, they all died except they all died.
Don't spoil that.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Do you remember? Because in that one, it starts off
donkey, doesn't he, at the end?
Yeah, but it's based on the Brushy Bill, who claims he was in the 50s, 1953 or something.
Yeah,
I've got the book on this. He claims that he was Billy the Kid, and he's got the scars that match and all of this kind of stuff. But it was never proven. I think he died before they could do a DNA test or something. What I learned about this is Emilio Estevez wanted Dead or Alive to be the theme tune for Young Guns 2. So he went to John Bon Jovi and said, "Can we use that?" And John Bon Jovi went, "No, because it's not about cowboys." So he said, "I'll tell you what, I'll write the theme tune and he'll sing the theme tune."
When you said he wanted Dead or Alive as the theme tune, I thought you meant You spin me right round, baby.
Round. Hey, can you cover this for us, please?
Yeah.
I think it'll fit right in with the Wild West.
Imagine going to Bon Jovi and asking if he wanted Dead or Alive.
I'm pretty sure Billy the Kid was listening to that. But he said no, and he said, I'm going to write it. So they invited him to the script writing meetings and stuff like that, and they met in this cafe bar thing, and they were talking about what's
Saloon
in the movie. Salon. And Kiefer Sutherland, legend has it that he says he was sat there eating a burger, and by the time he finished his burger, John Bon Jovi had written the massive hit that was Blaze of Glory in that very saloon. What a great story, eh?
Wow. What saloon was it?
Don't know. It's probably a Planet Hollywood.
Can you give us Wanted Dead or Alive for this film? I can give you a worse song. If you want.
Wanted Dead or Alive? What's the matter with you?
I could probably knock something up in a couple of minutes that'll do.
Unbelievable.
We don't shit on each other's choices.
No, that's true. Nice one. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure, that film, to be honest. Yeah. What's not to like? It's Billy the Kid.
Oh, he's very feminine there, isn't he? Actually, there's a score track on this, Guano City. That's where I usually stop playing it. What an album. That is a great album.
Nice. Okay, my round 2 choice. A little bit of a lazy choice, this. It is The Boat That Rocked.
Ooh.
Now, the reason I've chosen that, so I'm just getting the track listing. Number one, it's just a really fun, enjoyable film. And the soundtrack's a little bit, it's not like the other choices we've mentioned where the song perfectly suits the mood of the film and all of that. Some of the songs are a little bit crowbarred in, or they've written scenes to be able to use a certain song. But what I like about it is, if you're going to make a film that's about 60s music, it'd be really easy to just, like, the real big cliches, the Beatles and the Stones and, you know, Hendrix and, you know, the iconic bands of the 60s. It'd be really easy to do those. But they kind of steered away from that, and they went that every song on there is a pretty big hit, but they're not cliched 60s iconic hits. So I kind of like that they've used those sort of
the powder pop stuff as well.
Yeah, because it gives it a more authentic.
Right. Yeah.
Gives it a more authentic radio kind of feel to it. But having said that, there are a couple of songs that are used that just work perfectly for the scene. So Chris O'Dowd's character, all tearful, singing "Stay With Me, Baby," is just a brilliant scene. The scene where the young lad gets dumped and there's no dialogue in that scene. He's just kind of sat, and mates come up and give him a cup of tea and a biscuit, and the music just kind of lifts him a little bit.
I love that film. I really like that film. So it's one of those just sweet ones that you put on at 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas movie for me. It's one of those ones that's always on at Christmas, like a random Wednesday night, and you go, it's
lovely. Yeah, it's an
ITV2 film, isn't it?
Yeah. It'll be on every Tuesday on ITV2 for about 6 months. There you go. That's my round 2 choice.
Very good.
Good choice.
We've got Quadrophenia, The Boat That Rocked, and Young Guns 2.
Blaze of Glory.
Blaze of Glory. Specify Blaze of Glory.
I'm going to pick... Oh, that's tough, actually. Quadrophenia, because I've got it in my collection, so yeah.
It's one of my favourite albums. It's one of my favourite films. I've seen the film God knows how many times. There was a period in my life where I think me and a couple of mates watched that film every day, probably for 18 months. So Quadrophenia, there you go. Quadrophenia goes through. What would you have chosen, Ben?
To Lou Diamond Phillips. I've always been pro Diamond Phillips. You know that about me. I've always said. But the Bowler rocks.
I reckon we're going to get loads of complaints that Blaze of Glory's not gone through. I think this this might blow up.
Might do. This might
be the thing that makes us.
Yeah. The good news is, though, all those people that are angry that it hasn't gone through, they can still listen to it if they want.
Mm.
So,
it's very true.
Benjamin, what do you got?
What do you got? I am torn between. I'm going to go with soundtrack 2, Paul Thomas Anderson's almost perfect film, Boogie Nights.
Oh, yeah. I thought you'd go for that.
So good.
I thought you'd go for that.
Good.
Because it's just perfect. Perfect. Again, it symbolizes a time of just carefree, and the songs are just so carefree. They're so fun, and again, very, very similar to Goodfellas. He uses these otherwise kind of upbeat songs as a contrast to just not a depravity, but just the complete opposite of it. And then there's some great songs in there, some great disco tracks in there, and the Beach Boys song at the end is beautiful. Yeah, I can't say any more about it because I just think it's perfect.
And again, Philip Seymour Hoffman, just brilliant.
So for me, my highlight out of all of the great tracks on there, my highlight is Melanie's Brand New Key. I love that song. Yeah, so I'm going with Boogie Nights.
Great choice.
He's a good one. It's a good soundtrack.
David.
Okay, I have gone for Into the Wild.
Well, I thought you would.
Eddie Vedder. It's good. Obviously, people don't know Pearl Jam, my favourite band. So solo material from one of the great singers was going to be good in my eyes, but it was brilliant. Actually, it fits the film really well. It's very folksy. He uses his voice really well to capture that mass landscape of into the wilderness. It's really well done, and it's about 30 minutes long, nice and short. Doesn't outstay as well, because some people actually said it's too short because some of the songs are like a minute long. I think that's kudos to the guy for just doing that, because it was a soundtrack. It wasn't really a solo album. It was a soundtrack he was writing for that movie. Great tracks, some big hitters on there as well. It just matches the movie perfectly for me. His voice matches that movie perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the music as well. And that, I think the key point of that is that wilderness, that expanse. The music suits that really well. It's a big but simple sound.
Mm-hmm.
That soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it kind of suits the movie because it's a big expanse, but it's a very simple movie.
Yeah. So that's my choice.
Right.
Brilliant choice. It's a great shout. It's a great shout. I was toying with it. What's your standout track on it?
Probably Hard Sun, which is great. It's a really obvious choice though. But I quite like the setting forth. I like the opening.
Yeah.
Just the way he hammers on the guitar is ridiculous. Don't know, he doesn't break strings. But yeah, Hard Sun cover as well. I didn't realise it was some Australian band, wasn't it? They sued him, I think. I don't think he asked permission, so they sued him.
So we listened to that album quite a lot when we did our road trip in the States.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's always got it's just always has a really nice personal memory for me. So it's a great shout, Dave.
Brilliant. My choice, this would have been Goodfellas. Okay. Somebody stole it. This is it's a similar vein. This one, it's same director, The Departed.
Oh. Okay.
For every reason Ben said, Goodfellas. I think the same applies to The Departed. Its use of music is just very good in setting the scene. There are some great tunes on there. I don't think any director uses music quite as well as Scorsese. He's just very, very good at it. What's it called? Is it Shipping Up to Boston?
Shipping Up to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah. That's just a great hook.
Yeah.
That tune. But the use of Comfortably Numb is fantastic.
Yeah,
that's really good. I've just looked it up. I've forgotten what a good soundtrack that is.
I was kind of toying between that and Goodfellas. Goodfellas is a superior soundtrack. Don't get me wrong. That's why I initially was going to choose Goodfellas, but Departed was kind of a close second for all the same reasons, really.
Yeah, I really like the bit where he's in the garage at the beginning and Gimme Shelter's playing. You see the young Matt Damon, the kid, like listening to him. Yeah, and just the way it builds, and he's in the shadows, and then he comes out.
Scorsese is good at picking songs, isn't he? He is good, actually.
Yeah.
Mean Streets, when you first see Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
And it's that's Stones, isn't it? What is it? Jumping Jack Flash.
Flash, it's in a bar, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so good.
Johnny walks in with the two girls.
Yeah, it just makes him look so cool.
It wouldn't have worked in The Last Temptation of Christ.
Sorry?
It wouldn't have worked in The Last Temptation of Christ.
No. Sympathy for the Devil.
Yeah. Marty wants to use one of our songs.
Yeah.
You told me it was Last Temptation of Christ.
So, what's going through? Dave, you to vote first.
I can't remember what was Ben's. Oh, Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights.
So, Boogie Nights, Departed, and
Into the Wild.
Oh, this is a tough choice.
I'm going to go Into the Wild because I love The Departed. Departed is in my top 5 Scorsese films. Might even be in my top 3 Scorsese films.
Mine too.
But we can't have 2 Scorsese films in the last.
Why not?
Top 3, can we?
Why not?
I'm going to go Into the Wild because from my personal affection for that reminds me of such a happy couple of weeks, and I'm going to go with that.
Okay, this is tough. I think after just looking up the Departed soundtrack, I think I'm going to go with The Departed. I've forgotten that there's some killer tracks in that. Departed.
Okay, this is awkward because we haven't decided what we do in case of a tie break.
Host chooses.
Well, it's not going to be a tie break anyway because I'm going to choose Into the Wild. As much as I love the Boogie Nights soundtrack, Boogie Nights soundtrack is for the same things as Departed and Goodfellas and stuff. It kind of underpins what's going on in the film. Whereas I think Into the Wild, where there are large parts of no dialogue, the Into the Wild soundtrack kind of carries that film more than the others do. They kind of they complement what's going on, but I think Into the Wild carries it. So I'll go Into the Wild.
Good. Yeah, that's a good summary. That is actually, Kev. Yeah, I like
Cheers,
that.
Dave.
No, it is. It's good. Yeah.
So
wow.
Okay, honourable mentions. I've got a couple of honourable mentions. Dave's shown us his Blades of Glory. One of my honourable mentions will be
Blues Brothers.
The Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's just great. It's just great tunes, and the film is just a vehicle for tunes that Dan Aykroyd loved, basically. So it's great. I did toy with the idea of the next couple of being genuine choices, but I thought it'd be a bit too silly. But Help and Hard Day's Night, the Beatles.
Yeah,
films.
I had Hard Day's Night.
Yeah, I had Hard Day's Night as well. That's on mine.
Yeah, and the next one I did consider just for a brief moment. Moana.
It's great.
Oh, Moana's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Moana's a brilliant soundtrack. That's a really good shout, Kev. I've got High Fidelity.
Yeah.
Oh,
brilliant.
fuck, that's good.
Platoon.
Yeah.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Toy Story. The Graduate. Easy Rider. Drive. Really synth-heavy Drive. Just
Drive's good. Drive's
amazing.
Really good.
Drive's an amazing soundtrack. Forrest Gump. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Mm-hmm.
The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, I thought about that as well.
Dazed and Confused. I was really toying with Dazed and Confused.
Yeah, Good, Bad, the Ugly. I was going to go. I nearly picked that. But it does there is a bit of a sag. Some of the scores, because I do like the score. So the indie, Raiders is great, but it does get a bit symphonic part of the way through. It's a little bit. It is just for a movie. Same with the Star Wars ones.
The Mission's a great score.
So I think for honourable mentions as well, I thought of this the other day. And I can't believe I forgot to mention it. As an honourable mention, John Williams, the 20th century cinema, late 20th century cinema would be very, very different if it wasn't for John Williams.
It's odd, isn't it? Because can you imagine, you think of all of those great films, all of them all have a great theme as well, don't they?
Yeah.
All of them. All of his music is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible, really, how he does it.
Yeah. So in the final, we've got...
Hang on, I haven't done my honourable mentions.
Oh, sorry, Dave. I thought you had. Go on.
No, I haven't. So I chucked it out at the last minute, and I was going to go The Jungle Book because it's really good. It's a really good soundtrack.
All of these should have been my choices. They're so good.
I toyed with Ghostbusters, but it's not that good. It does. There's some really naff songs on it. Same with Lost Boys soundtrack has always been good. Stand By Me.
Oh, come on.
It's really good, but I threw it out for American Graffiti. What was the other one? I mentioned Raiders and Star Wars. I also quite like a lot of John Carpenter stuff.
Halloween, John Carpenter, Halloween, yeah.
He's really good. Well, Halloween, and you got Big Trouble in Little China, which is fantastic.
Escape from New York.
Escape from New York. They Live. There's some good tracks on them. One I really wanted to put in, but I don't know why I didn't, which was Grosse Point Blank.
I had Grosse Point Blank.
And I think it's better than the High Fidelity soundtrack. It's so good.
Grosse Point Blank.
It is really good.
The beat, it's just Mirror in the Bathroom. It's just amazing. It's just when, what's his name?
Jeremy Piven.
Jeremy Piven is just dancing in that thing.
Hey, can you say that?
Like 99 Red Balloons.
Get a soundtrack.
A couple of specials tracks. There's Smiths, The Jam. There's some great songs. There's some great songs in Grosse Point Blank.
Violent Femmes. Do 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 do. Even got Guns N' Roses on it. How much they pay for that? Incredible. Because they had to pay two people. They had to pay McCartney and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, well, only one person owned the publishing rights to that.
Axl Rose, I'm sure I bet he got some money.
Yeah, burgers. Paid in burgers these days, I reckon.
That's a cheap shot. Look at you. Stop having a dig at 80s rock music, will you?
I'm sure he can take it.
Go on, then.
So, what we got in the final? Forgotten now.
Goodfellas.
Quadrophenia,
Into the Wild.
and Into the Wild.
Oh man.
So slightly different rules in the final. You don't have to not vote for your own, vote for whatever you want.
Goodfellas.
Ben's voting for Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
As much as I love Quadrophenia, Goodfellas. Our first clean sweep.
It's pretty much the best film.
It is, isn't it?
It's brilliant film, brilliant soundtrack, brilliant acting, brilliant direction. It's just spot on, isn't it?
Cinematography is good. Like,
everything.
Camera work is amazing. Like the close up of, there's so many subtle things, right? It's like the slow motion shooting, with the fallout of the heist as well. There's a bit where they find Frenchie's body in the dump truck, and it's the way that the camera pans in on his name on his name badge, and then pulls out. And it's the slow motion. It's the way his arm drops over. It's amazing. It's amazing.
That or Herbie Goes Bananas.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
Right, so there you go then. Goodfellas, clean sweep. First ever clean sweep of any of our topics. Join us next week when we will be talking about our top 3 introductions of a character in a film. Till then, bye.
See you later.